Good morning. It is May 15th, Friday, and I decided to start doing Oracle card readings on video. I've had a lot of people ask me if I would talk specifically about how I work with decks and just some of the real basics for those of you who have never worked with an Oracle card deck. And so, what I'm going to do is learn a new deck. Actually, it's an old deck, and it's a deck that I am very fond of. It's the deck that I first got started with. It is called the Enchanted Map, and of course, it's by Colette Baron Reid. That is the cover. And there is an associated book, which I don't have handy at the moment, that goes with it. And the book really changed my world when I found this book, which literally hit me on the head. And it was misshelved in a bookstore and fell out of a cookbook section, hit me on the head, and my life has been changed ever since. I've always wanted to be a cartographer when I was little, and now I'm aging myself because in the age of GIS and computer technology, cartography is a lot different and not as interesting to me, if you will. But I've always been fascinated in map making and ancient and historical maps and how that was done prior to any kind of automation or industry. So, anyway, Spirit knew that map would get my attention. And then my journey kind of took off from there. So this deck is a very personal deck for me. I rarely use it to read for others or with others. Um, and it's a deck that I've really wanted to get to know a lot better. So I thought, well, this would be a great way to take this journey. Now, I don't have any superstitions around cards. That's my reality. That's my truth. A lot of people are very turned off by oracle cards. They immediately think tarot, and they immediately think that that's evil and you're conjuring up some kind of negative, evil, satanic influence. Well, in my world, that's bullshit. Um, these are cards with themes, images, pictures that are based on archetypes, which are universal themes that exist throughout the world, throughout culture, throughout time. So, mother archetype, the sun archetype, SUN, archetype. Um, there's the wounded healer, there's so many different thematics or myths even, that we live our lives by, stories. And for me, oracle cards are a way to unlock something inside of me that is unconscious, that's not the tip of my tongue, not, right in my mind's eye conscious, and opens me up to a part of me that I keep hidden. And so to me, that's all good, because it's about going deeper within me. And the deeper I go inside of myself, um, the closer to God I get. I used to live in a world where everything was external. God was out here, everything was out here. What was in here was not worth the time of day. It was wrong, it was ugly, it was bad. Um, I did everything in my power to stay in my head and externalize my whole life. There came a point where that didn't work for me anymore, and I I was forced. It was kind of like I was broken, and if I didn't do some internal work, I probably wouldn't be here. So I did internal work, and I'm still doing that. It's obviously a lifelong lesson, but I did that intensely for 2 years. And during that time um, is when I discovered the Oracle cards. So back to, you know, these are storytelling cards, if you will, to help me get in touch with a part of me that is not conscious. It's that simple. And they help me to really slow down and get in tune with that voice inside of me that is my God spark, that is good, that is right, that is intuitive, and that is what I call magic. Not to be confused with any kind of supernatural demonic possession magic bullshit that people talk about or think exists. So I have some rituals around my cards, but I don't think there's any. You don't have to have a ritual around your card. You can just decide what they are to you and how you want to work with them. Um, I always say a prayer, which for me is an intention that, and it changes depending on my mood in the day. Um, Today, I'm going to intend that I remove myself from ego and hear that voice inside of me that is my God spark, that is the voice that loves me unconditionally, that knows I'm a good person, and that has only my highest good and the highest good of others uh, at hand. I intend to be honest. I intend to surround this reading with love and light and goodness. And so I do that. I kind of sit with the cards. I kind of feel, try to get out of my head and not think and just kind of feel, the temperature, the energy, the ambience, ambient lighting, ambiance. Sometimes words are hard for me, so I'll apologize ahead of time. So I'm just handling the cards, kind of mixing them up. There's no right or wrong way to shuffle them. This deck, and every deck's a little different. In this deck, there are reversed positions and upright positions. So people often say, should all the cards keep them upright in one position, or can you mix them up? And these, all my cards I mix all up, whether they have readings in the upright or reverse. And that's important. Every deck's different. That's one of the distinguishing factors between oracle cards and tarot, is that, tarot's a template. All tarot decks follow that same template. The art's different. They may call the suits by different names, but they represent the same thing. And they're the same number of cards in every deck. So in oracle cards, anything goes. There's different numbers of cards. They're not set up in any specific template format. So you have to really, well, for me, it's important to understand who made the cards and what their intention was. And I've studied extensively with Colette Baron Reid. I've had the pleasure of meeting her a couple of times and have been on live calls with her. She's personally read me. So I am a graduate of her school. And so I feel like as much as I can, I know her intention in terms of why she creates these decks, how she creates them, her process in creating them. And it is of the highest good and integrity. I have no doubt about that. And while I'm thinking about it, a little tangent here, I want to shout out her artist, who is just fucking amazing. I do swear, so if that's offensive, I'm warning you now. Most, if not all of her decks now are done. The artwork is done by Jenna, and Jenna, if you ever see this, I apologize if I mispronounce your name, Della Grataglia. I'm trying to get that to roll off my tongue. She is one of the most incredible artists I've ever come across. And her artwork is just incredible, and it really works with Colette's visions and how she sets these decks up. So Jenna, shout out to you. Okay, so I'm just kind of feeling into it, and I take deep breaths. I don't do any, like, again, anything specific in terms of 3 deep breaths, hold it this long, that long. I just feel into it, try to clear myself as much as possible from any thoughts or lingering energies. Regardless of the question I ask, the cards will pick up your most dominant energy. So today I'm just going to start real simple, and I'm going to ask, and I'll talk more about asking questions, but with Colette's oracle card decks, you don't ask specific yes or no questions. You need to ask as specifically, give as much detail as possible if you have a specific issue you want information about. However, today I'm just going to ask Spirit, Divine Spirit, the universe, what message do I need for the next 24 hours to stay in alignment with my highest good and my highest purpose? And I have in my mind a knowing of how I'm going to pull the card. And I know you can't see the card, so maybe next time I'll set this up so that you can see how I pull it. But at least, people say, should I flip it this way? Should I flip it that way? And it really doesn't matter as long as you this is going to sound odd, but kind of let the cards know ahead of time how you're going to do it. And I always flip a certain way. And so my decks typically know that I'm going to flip it that way. All right. And all right. So I pulled a card, Talisman, and I pulled it in the reverse position. And so that's a good place to talk about what that means in this particular deck with Colette. Reverse is not bad, and some people have a negative connotation to reverse cards. And I don't know tarot. I don't know how to read tarot, but I think that comes from somewhere in the history of the tarot cards in reverse, maybe had some kind of negative meaning associated with them. However, with Colette, it's a good thing to get them in reverse because it's extra love, extra protection. It's kind of like, okay, really pay attention here. You really pay attention all the time to all the cards you draw. But this one is, this is a sensitive area, so we're going to just give you a lot more love here. So I like that. I've never drawn this card, and the first thing I do when I work with these cards is I look at the picture, and the more I look at it, the more pops out to me. And I can tell you the first thing that really stood out for me was all the blue in the card. She's draped in a bluish robe, and then she's holding a blue orb, and I find that just stunning. The colors there. She's got her back to me. The other thing that I notice is there's a lot of symbols going on. She's standing on the yin yang or around there. This looks like maybe a rune symbol. I noticed up here this little scroll work kind of just randomly on the horizon in the distance there. She's on a path, obviously. And then on her gown, flowing robe, there's some symbols, and I'd have to get my magnifying glass out to really see what that is. And then on the back of her shoulder, there's maybe some geometric patterns and some more rune type symbols. So these cards are loaded again with images and archetypes and all kinds of goodness. And these two little white daisy like flowers kind of stand out to me. So I kind of just sit with that and look at that, and I get a sense of I don't know. I mean, it almost seems like it's a misty, maybe a little stormy, but not in a bad way. Um, there's this foggy energy, this, you know, and she's got a lot of talismans around her, and to me, a talisman is a symbolic representation of you, of like I wear a Merkaba and a Native American bear fetish. These are talismans. They hold my energy. Bear is west, is in introspection. It's just something that's very important to me. I'm very drawn to bears. It's a totem animal for me, and Merkabas are a spiritual tool that I like to use, and I'm very open and learning and interested in sacred geometry right now. So these are two talismans that I wear. So they kind of hold my energy, represent a journey, I guess, if you will, and that's kind of what I see in this card. Some type of she's on a journey, clearly on the path, and she's got a lot of different symbols around her. So I'm curious to see what it says in the book. And I think at this point, that's what I'm going to do, is go ahead and read. Now, I'm going to start by reading just the reversed part of this. Sometimes if I don't resonate with the reversed reading, I will read the upright just to see if I can kind of get more of an understanding. Okay, so the essential meaning for talisman: a lesson truly learned is crystallized as earned wisdom. You have all you need for the success you seek. Okay, so if you pull it in the reverse, a reversed talisman card warns that you must be aware of the repetitive patterns in your life. Sometimes the things that feel most familiar carry with them reminders of what you don't want to experience again. Yet here you are, faced with an important choice. You can move forward cautiously, or you can look for further you can look for another path that will take you in a new direction. Consider this: if you've fallen down a hole a few times, why wouldn't you walk around it this time? If you know where the hole lies, treasure that wisdom. Although the universe is unlimited, every individual path has some limitations. Accepting that not all avenues are available to you at this time is a powerful realization. That said, you don't have to retrace your footsteps either. No matter what, you're on this path to gain greater wisdom, regardless of the choice you make. This is the time to ask others who have been here before for advice and assistance. Their wisdom will awaken your own. So immediately I'm drawn to, this is asking me to open my eyes and be aware that I'm kind of at a crossroads. Uh, you know, in one of her other decks, Wisdom of the Oracle, I think of the Fork in the Road card, where there's no wrong path. It just is the path you take. I don't believe it's right or wrong. It just is. And this in reverse is telling me, I'm at a point where I can go down a familiar road, but it's a familiar road and I might fall in the same hole and repeat a pattern. Or I need to open my eyes and perhaps step in a different direction that is not necessarily the comfortable one that I would intellectually choose. And, interestingly, this says, ask others, in my mind, it's like ask your elders. And I don't think it actually says elders, This is the time to ask others who have been there before for advice and assistance. And that's something I'm cautious with because, like I said earlier, I'm very external. And I didn't make a move without talking to a million people and getting the consensus and seeing who I would please the most, who needed to be pleased the most that day with whatever decision I was going to make. So I'm very cautious when I do that. But I have been able to tap into some very wise friends lately, and people. I've been very blessed in my life. So this tells me to, yeah, maybe kind of tap into some of the wisdom of the people that have gone before me. And that's another thing. That's something I personally will ask Spirit, because Spirit's the ultimate authority in my book, and the spirits um, that have crossed over that love me unconditionally. Because to me, they've walked this path before. So for me, it's like real physical people that I may tap into, but also some in the spiritual world. Um, and again, extra protection, extra medicine. Um, you can move forward cautiously, or you can look for another path that will take you in a new direction. Consider this: if you've fallen down a hole a few times, why wouldn't you walk around it this time? Um, so it's a call to bravery, to being courageous. Um, this I know I need to go slow, and that's been very difficult. And I've learned that over the last couple of years. So um, this has been very helpful. I'm really excited about doing this series with you. And the other thing I'm going to leave you with, I have a little stand that I put this on for the day. So as I do my work, it sits with me and I contemplate it. And then tomorrow, the next time I do this, I will look back over the past 24 hours and see if anything else came up for me. We call that percolating. You got to percolate on it. You might not really know exactly what it's speaking to the minute you pull it, but I did ask for the next 24 hours. So until then, I bid you adieu. Namaste.